Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Toddy Walnuts update video. And today I only have a couple things to show. I have 3 movies, 2 of them are Blu-ray, one's a DVD, and I picked up a new hockey mask for my Jason Voorhees collection, and I'll show you that last. The movies I picked up, I actually watched these very recently over the last couple days. So I'll talk a little bit about them and what I thought about them. And the first one here is Robot Holocaust, and this is a Scorpion releasing Blu-ray that just came out last week. And I ordered this from Ronin Flicks, and it came with the nice slipcover, and it also comes with a poster. If you order early enough before it sells out, you get the poster with it. And the movie itself was decent. It was a pretty fun watch. It's probably a one-time watch for me, and it's a post-apocalyptic type movie that takes place, I believe they said the year was 2033, and robots had taken over the world at that point, and they had humans as their slaves, and they were pitting human against human in death matches and stuff like that. And so this ragtag group of humans has to go on a little quest to save humankind and to take down the evil robots. And the leader of the evil robots was called the Dark One, and you don't really see him until the end of the movie. What I liked about this movie is they had a narrator. He almost sounded like Rod Serling from Twilight Zone. It was pretty cool how they narrated the movie as the ragtag bunch of heroes were kind of marching across the terrain, fighting different monsters along the way. It was very, very low budget. It was intended to be a serious movie, but it was so cheesy that it was almost a comedy. The acting was pretty rigid and stiff. It was the props were pretty silly looking. There's the reversible cover. That's the same image that's on the slipcover. And then that's the poster right here. That's also the same image. So I'm not even going to pull that out, but critics were pretty harsh on this movie on IMDb. I think they gave it like a 2.1 out of 10. I don't think it was that bad. I think personally I would have gave it about a 4 out of 10. And the ending was pretty bad. The whole movie was pretty bad, but it was still an enjoyable watch. It was fun to see it. I can't imagine what they paid for the budget for this film, but it had to be very, very shoestring budget. I mean, and it showed in the movie itself. I mean, the actors were pretty amateur. The set was pretty poor, but still, I mean, it's kind of like a drive-in style film, and it cleaned up pretty good. It had there's subtitles on this one here. I'll kind of just go over and tell you a little bit more about it. It's a film from 1987. It was 79 minutes, so it was rather short. But I thought it could have even been a little bit shorter than that. They probably could have got it all in 1 hour instead of an hour and 19 minutes. I think at some points in the film it kind of dragged a little bit. It was, they call it the unrated edition. There's a little bit of nudity. There's not very much violence. There's no gore. Some of the creatures in the movie, you can tell they kind of borrowed from Star Wars, because this was our lead character, who was, let's see, where is he in here? This guy here, he was the lead hero, and he was kind of the leader of this ragtag group. And this was his sidekick companion that was a robot, and they kind of made him look like C-3PO. And these guys here were the bad robots. Those were kind of like the sentry bots, or the kind of like the security bots for the dark side, I guess, the bad guys. And they made him look like Boba Fett, kind of, to me. And a little, I mean, if you're a little bit creative and you kind of, look at it, they looked a little bit like Boba Fett. And even some of the background music in one of the scenes in particular, it sounded like almost like the Darth Vader March song. So you can tell they heavily borrowed from Star Wars on this. I think I said Star Trek earlier. I meant Star Wars. But all in all, I think it's a fun movie to watch one time. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of rewatchability value in this movie. It's a cool addition. I'm glad that I picked it up. So if you're interested in the movie, go over to Ronin Flicks, get the slipcover and the poster. And I'll just read the summary real quick. In the not-so-distant future, mankind is facing uncertainty in the rubble of destruction of New York. Powerful robots have taken over the world, poisoning the air and making humans their slaves. One man, Neo, that's the guy right there that I was telling you about, and his robot, Clyton, that was that guy right there, will take on giant worms, flesh-eating mutants, killer robots, and the evil power of the Dark One, who was this guy. Where was that? Where did we see the Dark One? You don't really see him till the end, and even then it's kind of a stretch. He's almost kind of a shadowy figure. You don't really ever get to see him in a desperate battle to reclaim Earth for the human race. So, yeah, if any of you guys have watched this one, let me know what you think, and I'm just going to move on to the next movie. I got this in the mail a couple days ago. This is the latest Mondo Macabro Blu-ray collector's edition, a limited edition. This is The Devil's Nightmare, and I just recently watched this one too. This is a Belgian horror film with a Belgian director, and it was in French language, and it was also has an English audio dub track. You can watch this in English, and it does have English subtitles. I do like to watch my films with the audio and the subtitles on at the same time. I like to listen to it in English audio with English subtitles. The weird thing about this movie is the audio and the subtitles do not match up at all. I'll give you like a quick example. There was a scene where the Baron was feeling ill, and the audio line was something like, "Baron, is it your heart? Are you well?" And on the subtitles it said something like, "Baron, are you sick?" And so for 20 minutes I had the audio and the subtitles on, and they didn't match at all. Matter of fact, there was even a couple times in here when they mentioned a year, 1736, and it would say 1739 on the subtitles. So after about 20 minutes, it got very distracting to me, and I was kind of waiting for it to catch up and maybe smooth out, but it never really did. So I had to turn the subtitles off. Otherwise, I would have been distracted trying to catch up and see what the heck's going on. I would have missed half the movie. The movie itself, there's some pretty good eye candy in here. There's some very nice looking female actresses in this movie. And this one in particular, she's the lead. She's the succubus in this movie. It is a devil movie. She was possessed by the devil. She comes back as a succubus, and she's trying to kill these 5 tourists who happen to be spending the night in this castle, and she's killing them off one by one, and she's trying to kill them off by ways of how they sin. For example, there was a guy in here that he loved to eat. He was always eating. He had sausages in his suitcase, and he was eating chicken while he was driving the bus. So when she killed him by choking on food. She poisoned his food or something. He ended up dying that way. There was another lady in here who was going through a divorce with her husband in the movie. She was a gold digger. She was trying to find a way that she can steal from the Baron. The succubus lured her into a room with like filled with gold coins and gold, like little chunks of gold in this almost like a pool type area. She ended up dying in the gold. She got suffocated by kind of getting swallowed up by this gold pit, and so on and so on. And finally, by the end, there was a priest, like a young guy who was going to school to be a priest, and he had his little black and white, priest clothes on. And throughout the movie, she was trying to seduce him, and she took off her clothes, and he wasn't having it. By the end of the movie, he ended up. Well, I don't want to spoil the ending for you guys. There's a pretty cool twist, and this movie was a very slow burn for me. I had a hard time staying with it, but I thought the ending, the twist ending, had a really good. It delivered for me, and I was glad that I stayed with it. It was an hour and a half, the movie, and the best part of the movie was the last 10 minutes. I probably would have given this a 3 out of 10, but that ending kind of pushed it up to a 4. This was a 4 out of 10 for me. Again, this is probably one I would never watch again. It doesn't have any rewatchability for me, but I did like the ending. And let's kind of go over the special features here. You get a new HD transfer. Another thing, too, in the beginning of this movie, they mentioned that There was not a lot of, or some of the surviving footage wasn't the best, so they cleaned it up the best that they could. I thought the movie itself looked good. Visually, it looked good, but there was some soundtrack issues where it almost sounded like it was muffled at some points. The sound didn't sound crisp at certain points in the movie. It was a little bit almost kind of distorted. It wasn't really crisp, but it didn't really affect the movie to me. But there is some audio commentary. I haven't watched any of the special features yet, but there's interviews. There's a 12-page booklet. There's some art cards in here. We'll go through that. And there's also a reversible cover. This is region ABC. This is the unrated edition. It was very, very mild. It wasn't a very scary movie. It was more of a drama suspense. It wasn't very horrific at all, and it wasn't very violent. There was one violent scene with a decapitation, but it was still, even that was kind of tame. There was a little bit of nudity. There were some very good-looking women. These two here, there's a pretty good, almost like an erotica scene. For the first 20 minutes, it's a slow burn horror movie. Then all of a sudden, bam, like the 20-minute mark, it turns into a erotica for a little bit. And these two girls were very nice looking. And then this one here, her name is Erica. What was her name? Erica Blank. And you guys may know her she's been in a lot of giallo films. She's an Italian actress. And she's still making movies today. I looked her up on IMDb, and she made a movie in 2018. So she's in her 70s now. She's still acting. And she's been in a lot of spaghetti westerns, a lot of giallo films. She was in The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. She was in that movie. I thought she played a good role, but it was kind of a boring movie to me. But I was glad I watched it. I had never seen it before. By the way, it was limited to 1,000. I got number 443. So there's the disc. There are some art cards here and a booklet. We'll go through that really quick. If any of you out there had a chance to see this, let me know what you thought of it. Maybe I'm being a little harsh with it, but it just wasn't quite my thing. Here's the succubus. That's Erica Blank. That's the lady who was planning on stealing money from the Baron, and then that's how she met her demise. The succubus took her in, let her play in the gold, and then it swallowed her up. This guy here was the priest. He played a pretty good role. I liked his role. And then, spoiler alert, that's the guy who plays the devil. He wants the priest to sell his soul to the devil, and he was the one that, in the beginning of the movie, he gave them directions to get to the castle. So he kind of tricked them into going over there. There's the scene with the guy who was, I guess, a glutton. So he loved food. He was always eating food. And she gave him all this delicious food. And then she gave him wine. And once he swallowed the wine with his food, he started choking and he expired. Sorry for these spoilers. I'm going to put in the title that there are spoilers, so you will be notified beforehand. So don't come at me telling me that I'm spoiling a movie, because I will give you guys a warning. Yeah, but there are some really nice looking women in here. The whole film was filmed in Belgium, and it looked pretty cool, I thought. The castle looked pretty cool. It was atmospheric. It did have some pretty good music to it. I would recommend this for a watch. I don't know how many of you guys would love this movie or would want to watch it more than once, but it's definitely worth at least a one time for the ending. I thought the ending was pretty cool. There's the guillotine scene, and it was very tame because they didn't really show any gore. The blood looked really, really fake, and there's just a little bit of blood, so I think if it wasn't for the nudity in here, it probably would have been a PG movie. But even with the nudity wasn't as bad as... This is a film from 1971, by the way, 72. And this is very tame in today's standards. I mean, far as like the nudity and the sexuality, it was not that bad. And then there's a reversible cover to flip that out and show you guys. See if I can just get in here and show you. I better pull it out. So there is the reverse. I think both of these covers are really cool. Erica Blank just looked phenomenal. She was the redhead. There was actually 2 redheads in the movie and a blonde, and then there was a brunette as well. So take your pick. Pick your flavor. They had them all in here. So, and that's the cover that came with it. So I really like the movie. I didn't really like the movie, but I enjoyed the ending. Put it that way. So just want to try to keep it real with you guys. So, and then the last one. This is kind of an artsy movie. This is called Frankenstein's Creature, and this was put out on DVD. It does not have a Blu-ray release, and it was limited to 200, but it was not numbered. And it was put out by the company called Hex Studios, and you guys may remember that name. That is the studio that was owned. It is owned by Laurie Brewster, who did Lord of Tears, The Unkindness of Ravens, and The Black Gloves. That's his company. These are Laurie Brewster's movies that he directed. He did not have anything to do with this movie other than producing it and selling it under his Hex Studios company. But there's another movie coming out, a 4th one in his catalog, Laurie Brewster. It's called Automata, I believe, Automata. And he's finishing up, and they're actually starting to show that movie at film festivals here in the U.S. So that should be out pretty soon if you pre-ordered that. I know a lot of you guys, or maybe some of you guys pre-ordered that. I did. It's going to come in the same style of Digipack where it folds out, and I think these are 4 discs or 3 discs. I can't remember now. But these are really nice additions, and Automata is going to be exactly the same as this, so it'll look nice on the shelves together. But back to this one. This one, for me, it was too artsy for me, and I'll give you... This is a cover by Graham Humphreys, by the way. That's pretty cool. This movie only has 1 actor in it, and it's the story of Frankenstein as seen through the eyes of Frankenstein's creature, who is played by the guy. There's 1 actor in the movie. There's 1 scene, or one setting where the entire movie takes place in the 1 setting. And it, how do I describe this movie? It's really hard to describe. He has a very, very thick British accent, and it was hard for me to understand a lot of it. Most British accents I can hear pretty well, but this one was, it was a little hard for me to understand exactly what he was saying quite a bit. It didn't have subtitles in this movie, and the way that the scene was set up, it was like a castle setting where everything was brick and rock, and it didn't have, and the voice was kind of echoing as he was, and he was kind of shouting his lines too, which kind of made it not a really fun experience to watch for me. I hate to say it like that, but I couldn't really get into this movie, and it was an hour and 30 minutes long. It was a 90-minute movie of one guy in one room shouting in a thick British accent that I could not hardly understand. Maybe I'm just not artsy enough for a movie like this. Maybe this is too fancy for me. I'm not sure. I really wanted to like this, but it just wasn't for me. And like I said, this was only released on DVD. It was only limited to 200, and it's sold out. I'm not sure if they plan on doing a Blu-ray run at any point. I can't say that I recommend this one, but if you guys are collectors and you like low quantity movies where it's 1 of 200, then this might be for you. But if you collect movies because you actually like to watch the movies, I can't really say that I would recommend this to anybody. I hate to say it like that, but I'm just trying to keep it real here. And there are special features on here, but I didn't even get into those. There's interviews, a Q&A, audio commentary, short film, Hell's Garden is also in here. I didn't check that out yet. This was directed by Sam Ashurst. I gotta say though that he's probably a very good actor. Anybody who can, rehearse lines in a movie for 90 minutes by himself with no comedy relief or no, any kind of break at all. He's a one-man show. It was almost like watching a theater play. It wasn't like watching a movie to me, which is not a bad thing, I guess, but I just couldn't get into it. They should have had more than one actor. They could have had more than one scene. They did try to blend in backgrounds, like they tried to overlay a different scene in the background, and then he would continue with his dialogue, and then another scene would kind of show in the background and kind of blend in. But the entire movie took place in one room in like a castle setting, and you're kind of, it's like a point of view. You're kind of stuck in one position watching this guy act. The camera doesn't move at all. It's like you're set in one spot watching him deliver his lines. And it just wasn't for me. But that is Frankenstein's Creature. So these were kind of three almost kind of duds, I guess. I mean, Robot Holocaust, I would give that a 4 out of 10. Devil's Nightmare, I would push that up to a 4 just because of the ending. And Frankenstein's Creature, oh man, I would probably give that a 3. I would not want to sit through that again. But my favorite pickup of this week is another mask that I got from Rick Stasinski over at 13X Studios. There's Rick right there in the middle. And this was at one of the last Comic-Cons that he was at. There's his lovely wife, Rick's wife. There's, of course, his Kane Hodder, who played Victor Crowley, played Jason Voorhees, and many other menacing monsters. That's Kane Hodder, the man right there. Here is David Howard Thornton, who played Art the Clown in Terrifier and All Hallows Eve. And there is Damien Leone, who was the director of Terrifier. So, and if you guys are interested, you can go to his studio, 13X Studios, online. He's got all kinds of different masks for you, and I'm sure you'll find something. Wait till you see this one. This one is awesome. This is an homage to Steve Dash, who recently passed away. This is the Sackhead Jason mask. This, as far as I know, this is the only place that you can get a mask like this is through 13X Studios. I haven't seen anybody else put this out yet. But what Rick did was he put an actual burlap sack over a Jason mask, and he put the little eye cutout like you see in Friday the 13th Part 2, which was Sackhead Jason. And if you want, you can order this mask without the blood stain, or you can order it with, so you can get it with or without. I thought the blood looked pretty cool, so I got it with. And I'm really happy with the way that looks, and I'm going to put that up on my wall, and it's going to go right up here next to the rest of my, it's going to go up there somewhere. I'm not going to put it up right now on camera, but I'll probably show that off at a different time again. But I'm really happy with that. It's an actual like burlap sack that goes over the mask. It's really, really nice. Yeah, Rick does a great job with his masks. So if you're interested in that mask, or maybe you want to get any other mask from the franchise, and he has other, I mean, here's a Kevin Smith mask that he does that Kevin Smith actually signs from Jay and Silent Bob. You can get that too. I think he might have some Kane Hodder signed stuff. You have to go over to his website and check that out. But other than that, guys, that was it for my small haul and I guess my mini reviews of these films. Let me know what you think. If you'd like to see me do more reviews, let me know. Hope that it helps you to at least kind of decide what you might want to pick up. But don't just take my word for it. I mean, maybe what I like you don't like, and vice versa. But I just try to keep it honest, and I try to keep it how I feel about the movies. So that is Robot Holocaust from Scorpion Releasing, Frankenstein's Creature from Hex Studios, and The Devil's Nightmare from Mondo Macabro. So, and it is Sackhead Jason from 13X Studios. So thank you for watching, guys. Take care, and I will see you in the next video. Later.
Brrr.